Hello everyone. In today's video I'll be talking to you about Project Hell. It's a bit of a clickbait title, but more or less it's about projects I've worked on the past 8 years or so. And these projects, some were great and some were not so great, but I will try to explain what I consider, let's say, a bad project or something I would prefer not to. I think that's probably the key word here, the key words. I prefer not to. If I have to, I will do that type of project, but I would prefer not to. So I should probably just call this the prefer not to project stream. But also remember, I am a freelance web developer in Japan, so this is my experience as a foreign engineer in Tokyo and not other countries. So that might explain some other parts. That might give some different reasons than other countries. Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be talking to you about projects I'd prefer not to do. We can call this Project Hell, or maybe a project becomes hell. I'm a freelance web developer in Japan. I've been working IT in Japan for over 8 years, and more than 4 of those years have been freelancing. So I've seen quite a few projects and I've been through multiple companies. I don't know if that sounds good or not, but as a freelance worker, you have every year you're going to at least 2 or 3 companies, and you're seeing behind closed doors what's happening in their company, how the company works, how they decide technologies and so forth. I should probably call this projects I'd prefer not to do, but I need something a little more clickbaity, excuse me. And yeah, we'll go straight into this. So projects I'd prefer not to touch, one of these 3, not exactly one of them, but anything similar to them, and that's heavy CMS dependencies, or maybe so I'll give you my case. I did Shopify for about a year and a half, nearly 2, and I think these are great services, but I felt so annoyed using Shopify for that extended period of time. I think, of course, these are the only. Of course, in most cases, you'll be using one of these if you might be freelancing, but yeah, I prefer not to touch them. And it's not because they're bad or they're not good services or CMSs. I think they're great. They're the top of the CMS world. I just prefer not to touch them. I'll give you a few reasons. Number one, with Shopify, I'm not a Shopify developer, I'm not a Shopify expert, but once I went into it, I had to become really good at Shopify. And then the problem with that now is I don't want to become a Shopify engineer or a Shopify specialist. I want to do other things. I want to work more with React, or work more with Vue, or and so forth. But what I did was I also used the APIs from the server, and I consumed, is it the right word, those APIs on the front end, and made a customized Vue.js kind of web service using Shopify. It wasn't exactly an e-commerce, but it was something to do with, I can't go too deep into the actual project, but I was heavily using Shopify's API, and the user was also using the official Shopify website. That Shopify website was written in Liquid.js, and yeah, I didn't enjoy using Liquid.js. And then on top of that, whatever the customer wanted, we couldn't quite make that because there were some limitations to Shopify where you would have to buy or purchase in-store apps to get that certain feature. And if you didn't do it that way, you'd have to make some hack. And then that's when it starts getting messy. And instead of wasting time playing around with hacks on Shopify, you could be making a really interesting Vue.js only app, or you don't have to be touching the CMS. And I think it's something similar with WordPress or Salesforce, where you're so deep into the CMS, you can't actually become a decent developer, or a good, start practicing good thing, because you're fiddling around with all the CMS crap that you really don't want or need. But this is one of the projects I try to stay away from. I tried it for 2 years of Shopify. I'm done. I'm not doing it again unless I get paid a shit ton amount, which I don't think I will. Anyway, next. Another one is hardware dependent products or services. worked with Smart Reggie or work with like scanners or like exercise tools, exercise machines, anything where it's connecting like an IoT kind of thing. I'd prefer not to. I just prefer not to. If you've ever worked with any of these kind of things, it is quite difficult because you have to test in real time, and then whatever device you're using, when something happens, you'd have to send it to the cloud. The cloud, you have to display it on a web application. So you're playing around with three different, is it the word domains? I don't know, but three different areas you're playing around with, and it gets you can see the frustration in my face already. Just messing around with hardware, it's just not for me. I prefer not to. Okay, Apple, anything with Apple, iOS, Apple Store, I just want to keep away from it. Even though I am using an Apple MacBook to do web development, I don't want to touch iOS or anything to do with the Apple Store. Too many regulations and all that. You're selling to like people in Europe. Okay, you've got to do all this GDPR stuff. You're still doing it in web applications if you're making a service for Europeans. But I just, when I see Apple products, I just like, I don't want to touch it. Apple Watches, any of that, I prefer not to. I'll stick to simple web administration screens, web browser based, and not doing anything like a Electron and all that, or wrapping it into something to turn it into a proper desktop app. I don't want to touch that. If I have to, I will, but I prefer not to. Excuse the beeping sounds. My pie is ready. It's quite hot. Okay, but anyway, React Native. Nah, man, nah. I'm not touching it. I mean, if I have to, I will, but I prefer not to. Why? I used it. Okay, the thing is, maybe it's good now. Maybe it's great now. I used it about 5 or 6 years ago, making my own like coupon app for bar hopping and clubs in Tokyo. And yeah, I didn't actually deploy it, and I was just keeping it as a test flight or something like this. And I was also doing a freelance project at that time with React Native, and there were just too many issues with it. And that is developers developers experience. I didn't have a good time. So React Native, it's probably doing really well now. It's probably great, but for me, I prefer not to. It's not for me. But if I have to, I will. Okay, this is a lot of project hell lately. Going in the last 2 or 3 years, Next has become really popular. I think it's cool, it's great, but it's not for everything. So I'm seeing now when you jump into a project, they use it for everything. Everything equals Next.js. What's the problem with that? It's fine. As long as they pay me, it's fine. But what happens is things change suddenly. You have to read all the new documents. Legacy code doesn't work for certain features. Deployment, all these issues are happening, and then you just see it and go, why did you in this case, in many cases I've seen, they didn't need server-side rendering, they didn't need SEO. And then you could say, oh, but you can just make it a front end or whatever. Yes, but you complicated everything from the start. You made it complicated. Now everyone has to learn about server components, front end components, how things work. And you could have just used React, basic React, with no actually in many cases, small, medium size, you can just use normal. You don't even have to use a state manager. Just make contexts and hooks and all that. So a lot of leads now are writing everything in Next.js. Everything's Next.js. I am using Next.js right now, and I think it's fine, but not for everything. So I prefer not to. But hey, it pays the bills. So isn't that what's happening now? You just use Next, get paid. So this is more to do with the business side of working on a project. In this case, I'm freelance engineer. So, and I think a lot of this happens with either freelance or full time. But the bottom of the food chain is something freelancers get, is when you're the third or fourth guy in the food chain, and then you get paid. I think it's not, the bad part is not that you get paid less. It's just one of the, that is bad itself. But you are getting third party It's like Chinese whispers, and you're the last guy at the end, and you get misinformation, and then it goes back up the food chain, it goes back down, and there's no, it's not as clear as you want it to be. And then when things happen bad, it just goes like this, and it just makes it worse. What's even worse is that because you're not getting paid a lot, this client is expecting this level of skill set and this level of production level, and when it goes down to this and it goes down to you, you're not, like, if I'm getting paid this much and you want me to write this with tests, reusable code, of course, yeah, you should do, as an engineer, you should make everything clean and tidy, and spend all day making it so it's readable, spend hours on Git, trying to make sure that, whatever, you got to do all your clean code and all that. Yeah, that's great, but you're only getting paid $400 a month, and you've been doing this for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So bottom of the food chain is the worst place to be, but it's the reality for many devs. So this is another project hell situation. I prefer not to, but if I have to, I can. Another one about a business side, or a human side, is micromanagement. Micromanagement is quite popular in Japan. Some people do it, some people don't. Some people use a kind of a mixture of it, but you still feel it quite a bit. And this is a no-no for me, and it's really hard to, so before you get a project, you have to ask them, how do you manage it? Is it micromanagement? They might say no, it isn't, but when you jump in, it is. This is the worst thing to happen for freelance, because you got out of the wagey life, but they want to put you back into it. So micromanagement is still big in Japan. It doesn't work so well as much as maybe with physical work. The digital work, coding and programming, micromanagement is very difficult, but they want to do it, and for me, I prefer not to. This one here is quite common, a lot more common than you think. I don't know about Western countries or whatever country you come from. In Japan, I have come across this time and time again. It's I'll give you, there are good companies that have good captain or leaders, but in most cases there's no captain, there's no leader, and you're just there thinking, who do I ask? Who do I check? What am I meant to do? This is so vague. You get in trouble and you go, no, there was no one telling me. And then if they say, well, you're meant to do it, no, I'm not getting paid to lead this ship. I'm not getting paid to be the captain of this ship. I signed a contract as a web developer to help make something. You want me to go to the business side of the company. And so that is a big problem, which I see in Japan. I don't know about other countries, and maybe it's just my experience, so keep that in mind. But no leader, no captain, no go. No for me. Something that you see quite a bit, and maybe it's not just Japan, it's every other industry as well, is that this is from Metal Gear Solid 5, and as you see here, it says all side ops. You've checked up all your side ops. There's side missions. These are not mandatory, right? It's up to you if you want to do it. But what happens with these project houses, they've got all these side missions and side ops, and they want you to check them all off. And it's like, no, wait. You're just making up work. You're just making up garbage. You're wasting my time. You could save 3 hours today and I could do something else, or you can save 3 hours today and not pay me for 3 hours. But this is also to do with culture. Maybe they want to keep you working and keep you doing something as the appearance of doing well or good. This is a topic for another video. But outside the scope, side ops and side missions, not for me. But if I have to, if they pay me well, then, it is what it is. But wait, there's more. It's never ending. So yeah, there's never ending projects. What that means is, so it's finished, but there's all these things they want to add or remove, which is fine. But what happens then as freelance, that they can only guarantee, let's say 20 hours a month or 10 hours a month. So you have to fiddle with your, that's not the right word, but figure out how to adjust that for another project that you might be starting in the following month. So never ending projects are annoying for that. Another one is that you want to leave it, right? You want to finish it and just never see that project ever again, especially if it's Shopify. You just don't want to see it again, and you don't want to fiddle with GraphQL. So never ending projects, it happens as in all freelance and working in a company. But in freelance, it's a lot more annoying because it's uncertain how much hours you can get 3 months from now. So you have to adjust your time. I was going to say fiddle with your time. And yeah, that's never ending. Okay, that's it for today. Let me know what you think. Have you been in a project hell situation, whether in a company or freelancing? Which stack was it? A terrible stack for the wrong project? Was it some Salesforce project where it has nothing to do with how well you can code? It has more to do with the client's wants. The manager said they can do it, and you find out you can't do it on that CMS. You have to do it some other way. You're fiddled around. You're not getting better as an engineer. You're just getting worse off. So let me know if you've ever been through something like that. And as you can tell, it's quite bright today. Sun's out. It's great. Had a pie, filled up with a pie. Let me know what you think. Like, sub, LinkedIn, Discord. I'll see you in the next video.